Alright guys, welcome back to another fanfiction idea, and I thought this would be a fun one to talk about because, why not? And this is one I've actually touched on, but this one was more like, hey, these characters are like these characters now. But now I actually have like a legit story behind, everything. So, here it is. So this is as you can see right here, a Batman Gravity Falls AU, but here, in this AU, it's only that all the characters from Gravity Falls are Batman villains. They're all Batman villains, and Batman is still Batman. Batman is not like, we don't follow story, like, if this was to be a thing, like, my idea would be that it would focus on the villains, on the Gravity Fall-ified, that's not a word, but fuck it, we'll go with it anyway, of saying that in this story, the Gravity Falls characters are the focus as the Batman villains, and Batman is still Batman, he's still Bruce Wayne, but we don't follow his storyline. We just focus on the villains, and if anything, it feels more like Batman's the antagonist, especially of how this story plays out. So in this universe, we follow a young Dr. Pacifica Northwest, a new psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum, and yes, you probably know where this is going already of who she is in this continuity. But she's been hired, she's been brought on to Arkham to to basically study the psychologies of the various characters. And at first she's like, I want to talk to the Joker. I want to talk to the Joker first and foremost. And everyone at the facility is like, no, we're not chucking you into the fire. No matter how many times you ask, we're not chucking a new member of this team to go talk to the Joker. Last time, the last five psychiatrists he's had have all committed suicide. So no, we're not chucking the new girl into the deep end. But to be fair, it's all the deep end here. So you go talk to the other villains first. Because Joker is way too much. And, so she talks to the other villains in this story. And she starts off with Riddler, who in here is Dipper. Dipper is the Riddler, but his version of the Riddler is a little different from the Riddler from the comics. Where in that one is more like, I'm here to prove I'm superior, I'm the smartest of them all. This Riddler, however, is more concerned about the intelligence of the world. In this version, Dipper became the Riddler in order to stop stupidity from killing the world. He is more or less, like, every crime is every, like, trap and scheme he has is kind of more like a Jigsaw vibe. It's more taking on more like but it's still like, oh, you don't have much life. It's more like, are you smart enough to get out of this? Like, you can go free, like, if you get out of my trap, but if you're not, it proves my point that you're an idiot and you deserve to die. And he goes after specific people, but there's a reason for it. He goes after certain people who are idiots. Like, after his recent crime, Pacifica's talking to him, is like, you killed an entire room of people who were gathering at a convention. He's like, but what convention was it for? Flat Earthers and anti-vaxxers. That was the two biggest dumbass things you'll ever hear. So, yeah, he kills a convention full of anti-vaxxers and flat earthers, and he's like, science is fact. You can argue about science. You can't just go, I don't believe in science and refute it. Like, that's the problem he has, is that he just wants to prove, he's concerned about the safety of mankind through its lack of intellect. He's been going around killing politicians, and even someone as so much as an elementary school teacher he'll brutally murder if he finds out that they've been teaching them really dumb stuff in school. So there's also so that's that version of Riddler. There's also a thing with the Pines family, where the Pines family is a family of Gotham, and they are basically there's a curse on the Pines family. They feel like there's a long thought to be cursed, because all the members of the Pines family who are alive are basically, they're all just horrible people. They're all just villains for different reasons. And Dipper himself doesn't consider himself a villain. He's just like, everyone's just an idiot because no one wants to see what I see and do the things I have to do. So I don't know why I'm getting locked up here. They're idiots. And the only reason I hate Batman is because he's protecting these idiots out there. They don't need to be saved. They need to be killed. Also, I wanted to have it that Dipper and Mabel's parents are thought to be dead. Like, they're thought to be killed, but really, they're members of the Court of Owls in this storyline. So let's get on to the other ones here. So you've got Stan, who is the Penguin of this universe. You've got Ford. Ford is the ventriloquist with Bill Cipher as his dummy. He calls it Little Bill Cipher as his puppet. And now you're wondering who Mabel is. If you guess Joker, that's right. Mabel is the Joker in this universe. But here's the thing, is that no one makes the connection that Mabel is the Joker, that the Joker is Mabel. Like, because Mabel was always thought to have been, she was completely crazy from the get-go. Like, when she was born, alongside her brother, she was completely psychotic, and eventually, got tossed aside, and even the brother, too, but, separately, because they were both completely psychotic. But Mabel made a life as a criminal until she took a vat of acid to the face. That tends to change your personality. But the Pines family they're evil, they're villains, but they don't recognize Mabel as their member of the family. As a member of their family. Like, they refuse to acknowledge it. But anyway, so getting the other villains, you have Pacifica interviewing Ivy, who is here. Wendy is Poison Ivy. And here, she is basically, she's talking about, I've only killed environmentalists. I save people, too. Like, does anyone not talk about how I saved, a group of people who were trying to save a park that was going to be demolished for a mini-mart, and how those people were brutally beaten in the streets by the cops? I was protecting those people. Batman came in to protect the cops who were macing and beating those poor protesters. I was the one saving them. Who did Batman come in to fight for? Not the environmentalists. He just stood by and watched. He waited until I had to step in. And then he had to make himself go be the hero to, the big military-industrial complex that the police force is, and beat the shit out of me and brought me here. So, yeah, so Pacifica's like, okay, that makes sense. You see yourself as a freedom fighter, so does Dipper. And they do have a relationship here. There is a relationship between the two, but Wendy's more like, I don't know if I like him or not, because he's kind of full of himself sometimes. There's also, I forgot, it wasn't that was the original draft of having Ford be, ventriloquist. Fiddleford became ventriloquist. Ford became Two-Face. Yeah, Ford became Two-Face in this because Ford Pines was meant to be the beacon of light for the Pines family, the only incorruptible member of the Pines family, and then he took, acid to the side of his face and is now Two-Face. Where in here, he's I'm still trying to uphold justice in some capacity, but, there's always two sides to every story, he tells Pacifica, you're probably wondering, you're probably guessing by now that there is two sides to every story, Miss Northwest. Let's take your story, for example. You come from a very wealthy family. You come from a very powerful and influential family in Gotham. So what you could have done nothing in your life. You literally could have done nothing in your whole goddamn life. But you came here. You came here as a psychiatrist. Why would the heiress of the Northwest family, bother coming down to the depths of hell, essentially? Why would you come here? And Pacifica doesn't want to open up about, but that's the whole overarching thing of Mabel is in the lion's den, and every person she talks to is driving her further and further into the insanity. She's slowly, and she's not even gotten to the Joker yet. But yeah, so Pacifica then interviews Killer Croc, who in here is Seuss. Seuss is Croc, and Croc talks about, like, the people he's been eating, and Croc talks about, yeah, I ate people, I've killed people. But who did I kill? Think about that. Like, really think. Like, the people I was killing were a group of cops who were beating and senselessly killing unarmed civilians in the street. You know, I saved one kid from getting killed for for reaching into his pocket too fast to stop his phone, and you know he nearly got killed for it. I'm the good. So yeah, the more Pacifica sits around, she's more like, these guys are not villains. They're more heroes than Batman. Like, that's the whole thing. They're thinking, like, she's being flipped on its head. Is that, yeah, she's thinking, like, that's the whole point. Like, they're not evil. They're the good guys. Why? You know, it's only insane that they're here. And of course, it's all like working up to Joker, who's going to like snap, who's really going to get her to snap. But yeah. So, you've got other characters here, like, who else was here? Oh, yeah, Gideon, who is Scarecrow. He's been teaching fear. Like, the last crime he committed was kidnapping children and exposing them to to a new form of fear toxin he had. And Gideon's whole excuse is, I was never prepared by anyone to cope with my phobias and fears, and it left me permanently traumatized. I'm trying to help these kids. I'm trying to help these and save these kids from being, slaves to their fear. So when they're older, they will have no fear and conquer the world however they see fit. They could become, one girl he kidnapped was a young girl who was a ballerina, who was like training to be a ballerina at a young age, but she was struggling. And because she always tried to, she was afraid of like failing her parents. But after being exposed to all that fear toxin, she like overcame it. Like, that's the thing, is like she overcame it. But no one talks about the side effect that these kids are now a little more violent. Like, that's the thing, is like, yeah, because again, it's every villain is the hero in their own story. That's the point of this whole story, is that in their minds, they are the good guys and Batman is the villain, and Pacifica is getting the script flipped on its head in her mind. You've also got Robbie, who is Mr. Zaz. He's like, look, let me ask you something, Doc. And she's like, there's no way Zaz can be a good part. Like, everyone you could make the case for, even Scarecrow has a case for him. There's nothing you can do with Zaz, like, because she's trying to convince herself these people aren't good people. They're monsters. I have to remember that these are monsters, and Zaz is aside from the Joker, Zaz, Robbie Zaz, Robbie Zaz is the one who's going to prove, outside of the Joker, that these people are monsters and need to be here. And then he flips on the script going, let me ask you something, Doc. We're supposed to be here for our own benefit, right? So why are we, like, every time we get out into the world, we come back and be rehabilitated, but you guys are very adamant of not it seems like you don't want to rehabilitate us. We're just Blackgate with extra rooms. We're Blackgate with padded cells. You ever think about that? And she's like, fuck, what the hell am I doing? So eventually she's like, all right, I've got enough experience, I've got enough know-how, I am going to talk to the Joker. I'm going to go talk to Joker. And that's where the real trouble starts. Because when she starts examining Joker, Mabel is already can tell that she's already been like through enough mental anguish as it is. Like, oh, hey, you and me could be, you've got such a lovely smile, Pacifica. No one's ever smiled like that for me before. Can you keep smiling for me? I'll open up. I can talk to you. So you already know where this story is going. So yes, Pacifica does become the Harley Quinn of this universe. But yeah, that's kind of the story in a nutshell. It's just Pacifica being dragged into the bowels of the of the hell that is Arkham Asylum, and more or less getting spit up as her own monster. Yeah. So there you go. That is the story. So yeah, as for other roles, I had like a few other like minor ones, like Thompson is Clayface, Nate is the Mad Hatter, Lee, I'm forgetting who Lee was. I was giving like minor roles because some characters were pretty minor, so I was like, I'll give him minor roles. So Lee, I think I made him Cornelius Shrike. I just made him for a lark. I made him a C-list Batman villain in the 80s. Oh no, I made Lee Dr. Destiny, that's right. Who else did I have here? Yeah, like I said, I didn't have every character be every villain. I just wanted the major characters to be major villains. So, there you go. That is the story in a nutshell. So, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of this story? And yes, it is, like, a lot of this is inspired by the Batman Black Label book, Harleen. A lot of this was the inspiration from that. So I'm already expecting someone in the comments go, this sounds a lot like Harleen from DC Comics. Because it came from that idea. Anyway, so you guys again, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of it? Like it, hate it, just comment below, let me know. And once again, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.